Greetings, denizens of the tri-state area. Jacob Weil here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Dragon, I know what we're going to do today. We're going to activate the Recap-inator and discuss my favorite cartoon, Phineas and Ferb. That's right. In honor of the 15th anniversary and in preparation for the upcoming revival, I'm guiding Blue Dragon 5 here through the series, experiencing his reactions watching it for the first time, and reliving my summer memories through the years. Today's episodes are Unfair Science Fair and Unfair Science Fair Redux, Another Story. First up is Unfair Science Fair. Unfair Science Fair. With a story by Bobby Gaylor, Martin Olson, written by Elizabeth Ito and Aliki Theophilopoulos Craft, directed by Dan Papa-Meyer and Zach Moncrief. How you coming down on this one, Dragon?
Well, it's a solid episode on its own. It's an excuse to definitely is reaching for an excuse to do a science fair. That's for sure. Like during a summer set show.
Baljeet talking about due to the fact that my 17 summer classes, I qualify for the science fair.
It's a stretch.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, it's not too far out of the ordinary, I guess, to have summer schools do science fairs.
Do they though?
I mean, I'm just saying it's not too. I mean, it's not the most outlandish thing this show has done. I'm saying. All right. We have Aquatad in there. Had to come back for the 2-part special. Oh, we actually do have a 2-parter coming up next time. So there's that. But besides the whole suspension of disbelief with the science fair thing, how do you like this episode?
I think it's I think it's solid. But overall, I think the approach between these two is a little odd. But it's not a deal breaker. It's just it's kind of really different than what we usually have, and it's I'm not sure it was the wisest of decisions, but we'll get there when we get to part 2.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, this isn't one of their stronger episodes. I'll admit. I think it does have the novelty of being a story that basically takes place within another one. And if you know what I mean. So
yeah.
I think it's at least a unique approach. All right. So obviously the boys are up their usual antics and thinking about what they want to do today.
They have a presentation this time.
Exactly. Basically flying on bat wings, basically underwater skateboard, or teach Perry tricks.
Yep. So thanks to Isabella, they learned that Baljeet is in quotes, crises. He's in a crisis.
It's like, and what exactly is that crisis?
Well, so Baljeet's dilemma is he's again, because he's taking 17 summer school classes. He's qualified for a science fair, which again, come on. Really 17 class. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. I want to address some about Baljeet. This episode definitely puts on display, but it's kind of an interesting dilemma to kind of circumnavigate here. Where I gotta wonder, I wonder what your view is on this, Jacob. So,
do I need a banner first for the messages or anything?
Oh, we should have a banner for the episode too. But
yeah, but do you need? Are you giving a message to the boys?
No, this is to you.
Okay.
All right. So here's the thing. I kind of question the. I think in a modern context, we're kind of lampooning, the Indian work ethic stereotype here with Baljeet, and it's a thing that we used to do it all the time, willy nilly, which is when this thing was made, back when it was still like a thing we did. The Big Bang Theory obviously it made kind of a killing on that sort of stuff, and I'm not knocking. I know a lot of people knock the Big Bang Theory. I'm not necessarily knocking it, but it is a thing where you look back on the early seasons of Big Bang Theory. We look back on kind of the things where we kind of have stereotypes in our back pocket, and it's kind of interesting because. Obviously, Baljeet is a fun character on his own. They don't really lean into the stereotype all that often. Aside from he's a bit of a kind of like a nerdy character, as in contrast to Buford. So, I guess my question: this episode really leans heavy into that. It's kind of the work ethic stereotype thing, where 17 summer school classes and he qualifies and the big threat is that the big threat of the episode. The reason it's a crisis for him is that he's gonna get an A minus, which then leads to a big Bollywood number. You see where I'm getting at with this, right? Like, is this like, did this hold up in a modern context to you?
I mean, I don't see much problem. It doesn't really highlight the whole like being the 17th thing as a negative, and even then, it kind of like even shows that he's kind of overblowing it a little bit.
I know that's the thing, though. Where again, look, obviously,
And if anything, it's not exactly that negative of a stereotype.
No, it's not. I'm not saying it's a negative stereotype. I'm just saying it's it's kind of a cheap shot. And I want to be clear. I'm not. Look, I guess Tiki and I have said in the past. He and I are like the whitest white man on the air. We're whiter than David Hype here skiing. So I don't get any room to talk here. It's just something that occurs to me because it was a little on the nose with the stuff that we usually do with Baljeet, where he's always like, okay, he's always a smart guy and he's in summer school by choice. We kind of set that up, but it just feels like for it to be like a big central plot point, we have like literally a whole Bollywood number to explain this. I'm not knocking the fact that we have a Bollywood number. I mean, that's cool, but it just feels like back to back. It just feels a little like, I wonder if that's aged well or not.
And so nobody really seems to be having an issue with it. I mean, even the voice actor himself, who is of Indian descent, hasn't really said anything negative about it.
But I gotta wonder if that's just more of like, what do you mean just in general?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't said like he hasn't. I mean, the guy. I mean, obviously he doesn't have like the high pitched voice that he does. And basically the only thing was like the only negative one of the like quote unquote negative things he said about it was like him like he spent hours trying to get the voice right, get the high pitched voice right, and then they told him he had to sing with it. I mean, that's really about it. Like, as far as I know, nobody said anything about stereotypes or about it not aging well. I guess if anything, it's a positive reinforcement of it. I mean, then again, as you said, I'm a white guy too, so maybe I don't have much room to talk.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, honestly, the reason I'm bringing it up is because we live in a day and age where now everything kind of goes under somewhat of like a PC fire of sorts, and we also there's like a full documentary of another of like an Indian comedian, kind of like pointing at all like the stereotypes in The Simpsons with Apu, so another iconic kind of like Indian character and animation. So it just kind of
which a lot of Indians actually stood up for.
That's the thing. So I'm just saying, like, when we reevaluate these things, obviously, Baljeet not around as long as Apu to form kind of like a lot of opinions, and more so maybe more of a negative stereotype in the case of Apu. Again, beloved character, so not maybe not negative, but again we're not Indian, we don't know.
And again, as far as I can tell, there hasn't been a lot of negative discourse regarding this.
No, I know you said that, Jacob. I get that. It's just I don't know. I just wanted to bring it because it just kind of feels like something like everything's getting modern controversy these days. It just feels like something like it's the first time watching Phineas and Ferb just kind of pops out to me like, I wonder how that's perceived.
I mean, again, I'm just like I haven't personally heard anything, and nobody's like, like I said, nobody's raised any discourse on it, and like I said, the voice actor himself is Indian, so especially since it was made in like 2007, if he had an issue with it, I think he probably would have said something.
Yeah, okay, we have some comments.
All right. Aquatet says, therein lies a pretty big. How does he hang out with the other self? Well, maybe he already graduated them. Or he's good at managing his time.
That's a fair point. It feels like a time management thing, because again, if the boys aren't doing anything all day, Baljeet could just show up like around like 3:00 or something.
Like, yeah, and there actually is like a future episode that kind of does like talk about him managing his schedule. So,
or again, he just shows up on like Saturdays because you have to imagine you get at least one day off during summer school.
And Code Diaz says it just often gets hard to tell the difference between a harmful stereotype and something that's just funny.
Exactly. That's the thing. So I'm just saying, like, things that we found funny then, and so I guess like it's an exaggeration. Oh, there's a guy with a work ethic for you, and then I don't know. It's kind of thing where like it says like all the time we kind of do this with.
And Belly says Baljeet is more powerful than time itself.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, his two of his friends like literally bend the laws of physics to their will. So.
Yep.
And I'm saying, like, even if it does fall under a stereotype, I don't necessarily think it's a potentially negative or harmful one. I mean, I don't think it's like pushing, like, yes, you have to be like this guy or anything like that. So
That's the thing. So a lot of times, stereotype becomes like maybe a dirtier word than it should. Because sometimes stereotypes, there are positive stereotypes, and then of course, there's stereotypes. It's kind of a thing where there are negative stereotypes, and there are, I guess, somewhat positive stereotypes. And people sometimes look at the positive stereotypes as like, well, you box us into a corner now, so like now we can't even enjoy that.
and I remember there has been instances where this show has been censored, like in that one where I mentioned. Remember in the episode where with the boxing match or the thumb wrestling match, where I talk about the change they did with the line about Buford.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not like they if they felt like they did something wrong or insensitive, they wouldn't go back and change it.
Sure.
So like I said, I honestly don't think they're.
Well, then again, I don't know if they have much of. There's also another thing to factor in all of this too, is that there's like between how the voice actor feels about things, and also it's between like editing the episodes. That you have like there's like a whole Bollywood number in this episode. There's only so much you can change.
Like I said, they probably obviously they had to record him doing it before they did the number. So
No, I'm not saying like now, like afterwards, like, hey, let's look back on this. Like, well, no, it's already all been done. It's already been fully animated and everything. We can just like edit that whole sequence out.
I mean, like I said, I don't really know.
No.
I said he does always like if anything hasn't aged well about Baljeet is that he's frequently bullied by Buford. I wouldn't say he's okay with it because he does protest a lot, and again, that does kind of get phased out. I mean, he's like a bully in name only.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, to be fair with that, and even at that time, that probably could have been considered poor taste. But again, it is played for comedy, not to be taken seriously. And Buford, in that case, usually always gets karmic justice on him. So I was like, I still think it's kind of fair in that.
All right, so we have an informative Bollywood number that explains the whole A minus, the significance of the A plus plus.
Or as LB says, Buford is a nice bully.
Yep, the nice bully.
Yep. Anyways, so yeah, the number is actually called Bollywood, spelled BALI Wood. So it's actually spelled from like the different version of Bollywood that we're familiar with.
Huh.
I mean, I think there's like a specific reason why it's named that.
Well, they call it Bolly. The other versions it's like Hollywood. It's Bollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. So we a nice explanation of the whole A minus A plus thing, and then here's
yep. And even then, it like highlights it as more like a familial thing rather than just a cultural thing.
Oh sure. I mean, sure, but still, it's like I don't know. It's like I've been saying the exaggerated gag. There's like okay, plus versus okay. So obviously, A minus is the very small quibble. A minus versus like A plus, and then we're adding all the extra pluses. I don't know.
And to be fair, that actually is kind of it's like, and even Aquatat does admit saying like there's no sensitive content warning in front of the episodes. I wouldn't call it a negative.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying it's like I'm posing the question. Is it?
All right, but as you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, so what was I getting? All right. Now, for all that aside, here's the real ethical question of the episode, though.
Yes.
Let's throw it up to the creators.
Okay.
Oh, Dan, Swampy. Got a question for you. Phineas and Ferb building Baljeet's science project for him. I mean, I know he's hammering things off to the side, but let's be honest, he's not building any of that. And that grade, just being able to make this thing, period. I don't think I think we're crossing ethical boundaries here. I think there's some malfeasance going on here. It's like the whole thing of parents aren't allowed to build a science project or anything. That whole thing, I think. Phineas and Ferb have violated something rather monumental there in the.
Well, considering they let a grown man in wearing lederhosen.
He has a good point. They aren't really that discerning.
He claimed he was a kid,
but still, though, he built that himself.
Yeah, but it's for kids. It was for kids only, but they still let him in because, like, hey, look at me, I'm wearing lederhosen.
All right. Anyway, well, I guess that's a good point to transition.
All right.
So let's talk about Doofenshmirtz
Smirtz
of Doofenshmirtz
Smirtz
Evil
Evil
Incorporated.
Incorporated. No variations of the jingle this time.
Nope. So Doofenshmirtz, he's entering the science fair, the very same science fair that Baljeet is like standing in the corner smiling for days for.
It's like, but the question is, like, the thing is, do you want to know why he's entering the science fair?
Yeah.
It's like, let's just say this backstory, as is all of his others, basically paints a picture of his long childhood, of his long, arduous childhood, of unrecognized genius.
Yep, and he's posing as a boy in lederhosen. Who basically he's pulling off the Steve Martin from the Muppet movie look.
Oh God!
May I help? May I help you parry the platypus?
And of course, this episode also shows that Monogram wears a wig.
Yeah. Went the full J.K. Simmons there.
Basically. But Doofenshmirtz's store backstory, like he entered the science fair with his very first Inator, which is just called, Inator.
That's got to start somewhere.
Yep, just a regular Inator, which we actually figure out what it does in the next episode, in part 2.
We have this fun runner of Doofenshmirtz keeps getting punched in the face.
Yep, it's like he calls out somebody in traffic, gets punched. He makes fun of Pluto. He gets that knocked over his head. It's like, Pluto's not the planet anymore. It's like, why you gotta rub salt in the wound, Doof?
And to be fair, that second punch was more justified than the first.
You mean making fun of Pluto?
Yeah, the whole thing. It's just like you don't need to remind us that we kind of lost Pluto rights, or like I don't think it's been restored or not, but let's just say we've lost Pluto.
Yeah.
At least at that point in time.
Horrible science fair judges.
Thanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
It's like, yeah. Like, forget all your other contributions to the world of science. You got rid of Pluto.
Yeah. Yeah, Mustache, you killed Pluto. Everyone loved that dog.
Oh, God.
How dare you, Mustache?
It's like he rubs salt in the wound. So, like we miss you, Pluto. R.I.P. And to be fair, that's actually more fairly recent when that episode was made, too.
Oh, no, I know, yeah.
And the wound still hasn't died, and his wound still stings.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe if it does get reinstated, that's something that won't age well.
Yep.
Anyways, so the myth, what Doofenshmirtz plans to do, because throughout his entire career throughout these science fairs, he lost to a baking soda volcano.
The classic.
And then, of course, he built the year after that. He built an even bigger Inator, which then lost to a baking soda volcano.
And then he tried to become like a beatnik poet.
It's like Doofenshmirtz's poem. Let me see. It's the movies are gray. The TV is black. The horses are running. Please bring me some food. Yet they still lost to a baking soda volcano.
Oh, Doofenshmirtz.
It's like, do you think that Doofenshmirtz's poem was just that bad? Where you were even like, okay, the only other contestant is baking soda volcano, and you're still worse than that.
I mean, I'm not a poetry guy, but you tell me how bad it sound.
I mean, to be fair, it doesn't.
Give me some food.
It doesn't rhyme. I mean, and I'm sure not all poetry has to rhyme, but it just doesn't have any float with it all. So yeah, I can probably in this case understand why they gave it to a baking soda volcano.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
still,
so this year he's built a giant baking soda volcano. I wonder how he did it. We'll get there. But so we have a giant baking soda volcano, which needs to be plugged in.
Yeah, which is a pretty big design flaw.
Yeah.
Real baking soda volcanoes just require baking soda and vinegar.
Yeah.
But I guess Doofenshmirtz is just trying to be a little bit extra.
All right. So meanwhile, the boys are showing the not the baking soda volcano, but the portal to Mars to Mr. McGillicuddy.
McGillicuddy, yeah.
Was it? Wait, is it McGillicuddy or Mr.
Yeah,
McGillicuddy?
it's McGillicuddy.
It is McGillicuddy.
Yes.
Huh. Okay.
It's like voiced by Brian Stepanek.
Okay.
Speaking of which, this episode is a little bit of a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody reunion.
Hey.
because we haven't talked about Candace yet, but her rival in this episode, Wendy, is voiced by Brenda Song.
Oh, get out of here! That was her.
Yep, that was her.
Nice.
So yep, and of course, Ashley Tisdale, who voices Candace, was in that show too.
Now, if only we can get Mr. Mosby.
Funny you should mention that.
Oh.
Season 2.
Ooh. Anyway. So let's see. So Mr. McGillicuddy here, he tries to cash in on Baljeet's genius. Again, unethical genius, but genius all the same.
I mean, he doesn't know.
I know he doesn't know.
Or if all he knows, Phineas and Ferb are just Baljeet's assistants.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, they did assist him in building it.
Yeah, sure, they assist him in building it. Yeah.
Okay. He assisted them.
He didn't even do anything. You saw what happened. Jay, don't.
Hence my you didn't see them, but massive air quotes.
Exactly. It's just the fact that we saw him off to the side. They gave him busy work. They knew Baljeet stinks at building stuff. He was just off to the side. They gave him a disconnected piece of wood. They didn't even connect anything. There's no wood finish there.
Which, to be fair, he did also nail with the wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gets more mechanically inclined later on, not to their extent, but he does become more involved with their projects.
Yeah, we'll see. He couldn't make a sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, he actually is. He actually can.
Or fine, he can make a sandwich, but he can't. Anyway. All right. So, let's see. Okay, the point being, we have kind of Michigan J Frog mode here. He tries to plug it in, and
it doesn't work.
Doesn't work because
Doofenshmirtz unplugged it.
Yep. So he fixes it up after he's he cranked it up to 11, and he's like, he's plugged it in, he's turned up to 11, and he's all dangerous settings and everything. So, by the way, we kind of peek through the portal. We see Martians having their own little science fair,
which also gets explained in the next part.
Yes.
It's like, all right, but let's see, where was I going with this? All right, I lost my train of thought, so go on.
All right, anyway. So so he basically has a Michigan J Frogman, which they think he's crazy. Basically, he's our fill-in for Mr. McGillicuddy. Is kind of the fill-in for Candace this episode. And now, I do be fair, we do have Candace in this episode, but he's fulfilling the ordinary role of Candace.
Candace is busy with something else.
Yeah, well, actually, we can talk about what Candace is her rival in this episode. Yes, Candace.
Yeah,
she's she's watching Jeremy, through the
binoculars.
When he's like 5 feet away.
And then, yeah, it is kind of odd.
Watching Jeremy handle the corn dog.
Yeah, nobody can make a corn dog like you, Jeremy.
Yep. Something troubling about that setup, but I don't want to linger on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's a continuity thing to mention, Jake. I don't think you mentioned it before.
Yeah.
So we've transitioned. I don't know if it's either been a retheming or it's just Jeremy got a new job. But he went from Slushy Dog to Mr. Slushy or Slushy Burger.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did slightly mention that. I might have mentioned it at the beginning. That's like one of the early episodes.
I guess you alluded to it, but we never fully addressed it. So here we go. We fully addressed it.
Yep, and it basically remains that way throughout the rest of the show.
Yeah. So really, we're not going back to Slushy Dog. Just going to keep Slushy Burger.
It's called Slushy Burger, but they still one of their products is Slushy Dogs.
Huh. Have we seen the Slushy Dog?
Honestly, I think sometimes it switches, alternates between Slushy Dog and Slushy Burger.
No, I mean the food. Have we seen the hot dogs from the Slushy Dog?
I mean, he's been seen bouncing corn dogs in a couple episodes ago. Remember?
No, I know it's corn dogs. I'm saying the Slushy Dog itself. Are they hot dogs or just purely corn dogs?
I think that is the Slushy Dog.
But okay, so the corn dog is the Slushy Dog.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really explored that much, to be honest. think it's just like a study's like, well, that's where Jeremy works.
Okay. Anyway, so there's a position open at Slushy Burger.
And of course, Candace has an opportunity to get closer to Jeremy, but
Of course, she does. Rival Girl shows up. Do we have a name for Rival Girl?
Wendy.
Wendy. Is Wendy going to come back?
Unfortunately, no.
Oh, wait, really?
No, we don't see any more of Wendy.
How did they... Why are they sleeping? Okay, throw up the message up again. Throw it up again.
And first off, we have this callback: corn dog, yummy, yummy, yummy. But okay, message to Dan and Swampy.
Hey, boys, wake up. Gather around. I see you two. Get up here. Are you two trying to tell me we got Ashley Tisdale, we bring in Brenda Song for an episode, we have a built-in rival for Candace, and we don't use her again? Like, we've had no-name rivals before, but this is like a name actress we have as a rival who has history, who's got chemistry, who's got a built-in dynamic with Candace. And we're not using her as a rival? Why did you sleep on this, Swampy? And Pavmar, don't you snicker at him. I see you too. Why'd you let this go? You mean to tell me in 4 seasons, I know it's the tail end of season 1, but in 3 seasons and change, you never thought to bring her back? Boys, make a note. Bring her back for the revival. All right. Get out of here, you two. I can't stand to say you. Get out of here right now.
Actually, the funny thing is, I was re-looking through the background information. I actually did find some interesting information about Doofenshmirtz's poem.
Yeah?
It was actually the storyboard writer, Leaky Theophilopoulos. It was actually her. Actually, her father wrote that when she was a child.
Now I'm hungry.
It's like, it came from a challenge given to my dad when I was a kid. He once said, poetry's easy, so I told him to try and write a poem. He came back with a terrible poem. The writer's room said, and okay, we really need a lame poem for Doofenshmirtz. I offered the awful one from my dad. It's like, so the writer's throwing in some personal anecdotes from their own lives.
Love it. Code Geese anime fan says Jeremy's sister becomes Candace's rival in a weird way. Yeah, that's true, but I'm saying you have that's just kind of like, the whole almost like a mother-in-law sort of dynamic. We have like an actual,
Well, in this case, sister-in-law.
Well, no, I know that. I'm just saying in general, it's like the whole thing of like, it's like the one who's like, you're not good enough for my family member sort of thing.
All right. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but regardless of the fact that you have like a built-in like actual competition for Candace, though, the sister's just like, he's mine. Anyway, so let's see.
The funny thing is, like, this isn't the first time Brenda actually played a character named Wendy.
That's true.
Wendy Homecoming Warrior.
Yeah. Do you think that's purely why they called her Wendy?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the funny thing is her name isn't actually mentioned within the episode itself. She's just named in the credits.
Because I'm seeing, even as an afterthought, let's just call her Wendy for Wendy Wu. Homecoming Warrior. Let's just do it. Yeah. Anyway.
And technically, I did lie. Technically didn't lie, but like she does make future cameos, but I don't think she's voiced in them.
Oh, well, is she in competition over Jeremy with Candace?
No.
That's still, okay, I think we kind of broke even on that. That's still a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to deny that. That would have been nice.
Okay, Aquatad says there's probably a great reboot scenario for that. So, I guess if I were to speculate,
Gritty reboot time.
We don't see Wendy for a very specific reason.
Oh no!
After their condiment feud. Okay, get ready for this. After the condiment feud, Wendy was revealed to be the Condiment King's daughter. Bum bum bum.
Don't tell Laser Dude.
Oh no, I'm telling Laser. Laser Dude, if you're watching this, he's not watching this. If you're watching this, Condiment King has spawned. And this, he spawned a condiment girl.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so the condiment daughter here, the condiment themed daughter, this is her big origin story where she's trying to rebuff her father's legacy, and it's like, no, she's forced it upon me. I've been traumatized by these condiments. I like the feeling and getting retribution for being doused in condiments. I'm going to make sure everyone knows this feeling, and I can make myself feel better by comparison. She basically goes on this whole this whole journey. But here's the thing: she has her big climatic revenge on Candace. But what happens is, she squirts out like the mustard or the ketchup or what have you, and she takes one step forward, and Candace says, "Look out!" She falls, and well, it depends on how gritty you want to go here. Either falls from a great height, or falls from a minimal height, but lands in a graphic, realistic way, in which is like snap. Or make it even more horrible, like just she slips, she falls on her back, like, oh my back, no, like there's vertebrae damage, and she's bedridden, and it's a life of misery and woe.
Oh God.
Her father's no help because her father's in the loony bin.
Because of Batman.
Pretty much.
Well, to be fair, Joker's the one that hypnotized him, but Batman didn't help.
I'm well aware of that fact. I'm saying by the consensus, like the Harley Quinn animated show, for example, that one we've actually made a legit Condiment King style after that one, but is an actual guy.
Oh, well, I haven't watched Harley Quinn yet.
I know. I'm just saying the fact that it's the every time. Fun side tangent. Every time we get Condiment King, everyone always forgets it. No, Condiment King's like a fake villain the Joker creates, not like an actual guy. He's not really a repeat offender, but they love the idea so much. Like, yeah, let's bring in Condiment King. So every time he shows up, it's like, well, we kind of forgot the point, but it's kind of good to see him, though.
And well, that's also why we keep bringing him up with Laser Tooth.
Yeah.
It's like, and to be fair, Laser Dude, you brought that on yourself the second time.
He did. Don't let him tell you different, kids. Code Geass. He's a genius for what he's just said.
Let me guess. Wendy's could be the name for the restaurant Wendy's.
Ah!
That is possible. I will admit.
Okay.
I just had Wendy's for lunch actually today.
So right now I want to make a really obscure kidding reference, but it's just gonna go over everyone's head, so we're just gonna move on.
Okay. Now we have another comment I get from Condiment King was one of the 3 fake villains in that one Batman, yet they keep using him.
Yep.
For some reason. Because he's the most memorable, funny one.
Yep.
I mean, that's the some reason.
Okay, to be fair though, of the 3, the runner up, I mean the pack rat wasn't bad.
And what was the third one?
I forget if she was called. I think she was just called Mighty Mom. Like here's the thing. Every time I hear her name, it's Mighty Mom or something sounds very remarkably close to Mighty Mom because I keep thinking of the Fairly Odd Parents superhero parody episode, which is Mighty Mom and Dino Dad. So it always throws me up. I think it's Mighty Mom.
I love that episode, by the way.
Like a Mega Mom or a Mighty Mom. Pretty sure it's Mighty Mom though.
All right.
Because of that Fairly Odd Parents parody, it's just coincidental.
I love that episode, by the way.
Anyway, so yeah, the pack rat actually had a really fun gimmick where he would steal all the pointless stuff, in which he's like I don't want any of that cash stuff. I want pocket lint. I want he wants all the paper clips. He wants all the useless stuff.
All right, so where were we?
Okay, so we brought up Candace and Wendy, and their little basically they were in competition for the job. They ended up squirting mustard and ketchup and stuff all over each other. They did not get the job. Good day, sir.
Neither of them get the job basically because of that they wasted food.
Yep, they dressed each other in condiments, not the hot dogs. Every time I watch this episode, it makes me want Dairy Queen hot dogs now.
I've never actually had Dairy Queen hot dogs.
Oh, I don't know how they make them around your parts, but they are so good.
I mean, I can't imagine them being much different.
Well, I'm just gonna say they're so good.
And I've tried their chicken trip basket. I mean, I always go there for ice cream either way, but I've tried I think I've tried their burgers, but I've never tried their hot dogs. I'll have to give them a shot next time.
Anyway.
We can also talk about food all day too.
True. So, Doofenshmirtz, this is a whole volcano. Yeah, I gotta call this out too. Very platypus. did you really have to clip his wings on this one? All he wanted was to win a science fair, and the Baljeet wasn't even like wanted. It wasn't a thing where like Baljeet wanted to win. No, he just wanted to get the grade. What you got? So everyone's happy except Doofenshmirtz. So yeah, he got his big volcano, but couldn't let him have his big volcano. Like what? Like
It's a universal constant, Dragon.
I know it's a universal concept, but you know what it feels like.
Or canon event.
Sure, I guess.
Which I guess even referencing that might not be aging well right now.
Well, that's the writing's fine. It's just the other stuff that
The behind the scenes stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. It just feels like Monogram has like a quota with Doofenshmirtz at times. And
yeah, and to be fair though, I think obviously Baljeet's portal actually did pose more of a danger than the volcano did.
Exactly, but he doesn't care. Monogram's just like, I have to go after Doofenshmirtz because it keeps the lights on H&P.
I mean, but to be fair, Dragon, he did make fun of Pluto.
He did.
So I think it's justified.
Yep, the mouse heard about this, and he's just like, "Hey, he made fun of my dog. He's got to go. Take him out of this dimension. Put him in take him off this planet. Put him on Mars with the Brave Little Toaster sequel. Put him on Mars.
Brave Little Toaster goes to Mars.
Yeah, put him with like the little treetopper angel. Put him there.
I haven't seen that movie in ages.
Yeah.
Either one. I'm surprised those aren't on Disney Plus.
Well, here's the thing. I think the sequels are. Well, at least at some point they were on Disney Plus. Now they're axing things. So who knows? They were on Disney Plus. Oddly, though, the original was never on Disney Plus.
I don't think Disney actually owns that one.
I know it's weird, right? Because I think it's weird because John Lasseter did propose Brave Little Toaster, and I think the studio made it's Hyperion, but I forget that. My assumption has always been that was in relation to Disney because one of the early studio names was Hyperion.
Well, Dragon, good news. To the Rescue and Goes to Mars are on Disney Plus.
Yeah, again, not the original though.
Yeah, because I don't think the
only good one of the three.
It's like, yeah, Goes to Mars was fine.
Okay, I'll admit I kind of spoke a little soon on that. Goes to Mars is better than the second one, but Goes to Mars has the setup to Goes to Mars is good. I like how they end up going to Mars. Like that's good.
Yeah.
Then when we get to Mars, it's like
I mean the first one's traumatizing though.
Well, yeah, but all the right ways, Jacob.
I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, it's like
you got a clown that says "run." I mean, it's terrifying.
And not to mention the junkyard scene.
Yeah.
And I don't. The funny thing is, I'll mention this before we go back to the actual episode. But the thing I think that stuck with me the most for some reason when I watched it as a kid was the air conditioner.
I know, right?
Yeah, the air conditioner basically angering himself to death.
Yep. It's my function!
It dies.
I don't want to be in this stupid wall!
Yeah, that for some reason, that was the one thing that stuck out to me most.
Well, it's because he's dead at the end of the scene. Thankfully, we revive him, but he's dead.
Yeah. But, yeah.
We didn't mean it! Ah!
All right, back to this. Again, we really need to do a retrospective on Brave Little Toaster.
I think we already did.
Dang it, I missed on all the good stuff.
That was like way early on. That one actually might have been before your time. I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway.
Okay, so and point being, the volcano wins again, thanks to a girl, little Doc Ock arms.
Yeah, it's like she comes in with those arms. It's like, oh yeah, like, I just did you invent these arms? Yeah, but I used it to carry my baking soda volcano.
Oh, come on!
After Doofenshmirtz is already sucked into the portal to Mars, it opens up briefly when he's like, "Oh, come on!" As you mentioned.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to the Redux.
Another story. But to be fair, the actual episode ends like, I can't believe you built a portal to Mars and didn't use it yourselves. Oh, we did, but that's another story.
Okay, so the Redux, I really do question this versus just doing an extended episode in the first place, where it just would have been a longer one, which would have fit in. But I mean, I get that they're trying to do the whole episode within an episode sort of thing, but it just the episode as it stands there are moments in it where I have to question like the timetable of things, mainly with the Candace story. And I think it technically works, but I don't think it's an easy link up.
How so?
Well, here's the thing. I think technically on the rewatch, I think it works barely because like we have Candace. Basically, I'm sorry. Here's the variables: the fact that we have the portal built, and there's a question of how long between the portal being built and the science fair do we have? 'Cause it sounds like it's coming up sooner rather than later, but we don't know. Do you remember if it's is it a 24-hour cycle like it usually is on Phineas and Ferb for the science fair? Or is there time?
They basically it is basically shown that it happened the previous day before the science fair.
So that's the thing. It feels like there's a 24-hour cycle, but then again, we have this whole Candace story of like her trying to think about it. We have like a 2-day story with Candace in which we only have a 24-hour cycle. We have the story in which like she's looking to hang out with everybody, and then she goes to Mars. And then what we're saying is when she comes back from Mars, she'll be with Jeremy at work. I mean, I think technically, even if that's the case,
to be fair, the episode ends like the day before the fair too.
That's the thing. So technically, I think it works, but it's just the fact that you got to do all that. The link up, I don't think is necessarily as clean, but I think it does technically work because what you said. It's that day before we have that happening. The day of is when she goes to Slushy Dog.
Yes.
So I think that's how it works.
That is how it works.
Yeah, so that's how. Yeah, you're right. That's how it works. It's just still, I'm a little unsure about that. I mean, that feels like it's like we're missing. I don't know. It just feels like a little weird to kind of jump around on that one, where it feels like we could have like had Candace's role and then we didn't. But then again, it would have absolutely slowed that first episode down to a crawl if we had that. So breaking them up is kind of a pro and a con. Pro in that we get to play around with the format and get to trim the episodes down to the lengths they need to be. But on the con side of things, it's like, hey, there's a lot of good story here, but I kind of want to see it all. But I don't know.
It's like Aquatet says, this is the first and probably best of many nested episodes. Episode partnered with another so that takes place at the same time.
Yeah. It's an interesting conceit. I just don't think it was as winning as I'm sure it's going to be later on.
I mean, personally, I think that I can think of at least two right now, and I think the two I'm thinking I probably pulled off better than this one. At least I like those episodes more than this one anyway. But I do see where you're coming from, but I've never had any issues.
I'm not lobbing like an actual criticism. I'm just saying it's my personal taste on the matters. It takes a little time to warm up to, perhaps, with this new format, I think.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
But either way, while the boys are helping Baljeet, and while they're having their musical number,
mm-hmm.
like Candace is having a crisis.
She can't get a hold of anybody.
Nope. Like being the kind of like social butterfly that she is, she just wants to, hang out with someone. She wants to spend time. Like she calls Stacy, can't even do anything. Jeremy and Jenny, who is actually the first time we heard from Jenny since London Beach Party of Terror back in episode 2.
Yeah.
It's literally the first time we've heard from her since then. So, been a long time coming.
It's funny. Real quick, to bring up Jenny, keep remembering Kevin Smith has a tattoo. And the tattoo says Jenny's. And it's basically the idea is like if his wife ever left him, he would change the tattoo to Denny's. And anyone would see it, it's like, man, he must really like Denny's. Anyway, sorry. So I just like the whole Jenny thing just kind of made me think right now. Anyway, yes, Candace can't get a hold of anybody, and she's feeling like she wants to get away from it all.
It is kind of funny that you do bring up Kevin Smith so much when we talk about this show.
Yeah.
Considering he guest stars in a future episode.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get to that. It's like, so Stacy Candace goes into a panic, calling a whole bunch of people. And even like reads a text message that makes her think that Stacy doesn't like her anymore. And then obviously goes into a crisis, which leads her to the portal to Mars.
Yep.
It's like Of course. So,
Then the portal fritzes out. Now here's something interesting. Here's some subtext for it. Here's some of that like '60s Batman, can't stand Chief O'Hara kind of thing here. Baljeet and Candace, it's got this fun behind the scenes runner where it's not like they didn't really wait on officially, but it's got this gag of like Candace said, like, look at it, it's horrible. It's like, oh, that's not a nice thing to say about Baljeet. So it's kind of like this head thing, like, she doesn't like Baljeet. In this case, like, Baljeet's not that he doesn't like her, he doesn't give a fig about Candace. Like, she's in space, she's going to die on Mars. Like, what about my science fair prize, my A?
and then the boy, you can tell even Phineas and Ferb are just like, dude.
Yeah.
They even look at him like, seriously?
Okay, great reboot time.
Okay. Should we address the comments first?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, address the comments first. Yeah.
The way of the Django. He's like, well, Jenny went the way of the Django, and then Jenny and Django deserved better.
We never see Django again?
We do see Django again, like as background, but they never become like major characters in the way that Buford, Baljeet, and Isabella do.
Gotcha.
I mean, basically, the core group of kids becomes Phineas, Ferb, Buford, Baljeet, and Isabella. Whereas, like, and of course, the other characters with Doofenshmirtz, Monogram, Perry, and of course, Candace, Jeremy, they all become like the core cast, basically. And of course, they evolve as it goes on. We even get more from Carl, so they become like basically the core members of the cast.
Okay.
So,
all right. Okay. So let's see. 1 second.
So you want to get
ready? Yeah. Yeah.
agree with
that. Yep. Okay. So after the machine fritzes out, Baljeet's going on with the A thing. The boys are looking at him. He says, "Well, guys, just she's going to be gone anyway, and she's always trying to bust you. I mean, you never address this. She's always going to get you in trouble. So why? Like, maybe we leave her there." Making the case like, well, let's just leave her there. She'll be fine-ish, and you don't have to worry about her coming back. I mean, what benefit do you really get from Candace anyway? The boys are gonna have to stop and think like, well, Ferb does raise a good point. This is, I think he does. So yeah, let's leave Candace in space.
Oh god.
Yep. Just Baljeet making more sinisterly. This is Baljeet's like, yes, she's finally gone. This is my revenge for her saying nasty things about me that one time. All right. Anyway, so in all seriousness, Candace,
Yeah,
she's on Mars, and she's signaling for help, and the Mars rover guy has just given up hope on his profession.
Just as she pops into frame.
Yeah, this is a really good gag. It's the classic Looney Tunes, very Daffy Duck-esque gag.
And of course, did you notice who was voicing the guy?
Who was voicing the guy?
Tom Kenny.
Yeah.
Yep, they got him for this.
Oh yeah.
Of course, he does his screaming voice, like that's it, game over. And of course, he goes away. And Candace destroys the rover when she realizes it's not being any help. Which draws the attention of the local Martian population. So, what'd you make of these guys?
It's a fun design. It's nice and simple, I guess.
Yep. And Candace becomes the Queen of Mars.
Yeah.
It's a nice John Tilo musical number too.
Yeah, I do really like her musical number. I thought that was really good.
Yep. Fittingly titled Queen of Mars.
Yeah, she gets the John Carter treatment.
Now, John Carter didn't become king, right?
Well, wait, didn't he?
I don't know. I haven't seen that movie since it came out in theaters.
Well, even so, I mean, you familiar with like the books a little bit, aren't you?
I didn't really read the books. I'm more familiar with Tarzan when it comes to Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff.
Well, I mean, he's like, he is royalty kind of because he has like a royal title because he Dotar Sojat. That's kind of his name. And he marries the queen, so marrying the queen, I guess it's a technical. I don't know. The point,
I guess the first book is titled Princess of Mars.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so the point it's tangentially a John Carter-esque situation, all right? She's sent to Mars, she becomes royalty.
Yep. Queen of Mars is no, it's tough to be a god, but it's still a fun song. Yep, I mean, to be fair, that is good. It has a good song, too.
Yeah, I love me some El Dorado.
El Dorado's great. It's underrated.
I love it so much. My buddy and I, we quote it like the back of our hands all the time.
It's like both. Both is good.
Yep. Tulia Miguel to you, great and powerful gods. You fight like my sister. I fought your sister.
I love those guys.
You lost me, Zach. You know. Anyway.
And as usual, Candace is the best part of the episode. As Code Geass says.
Right. Wait, are you saying is it actually pronounced Geass, or are you just saying that?
Yeah, it's pronounced Geass. Code Geass.
Really?
Yeah, it's not code. It's not Code Geass. It's Code Geass.
Oh, cool.
It's an actual anime.
Well, I know it's an anime. That's what I'm saying. I've been saying it wrong for all these. That's what I'm coming to grips with, Jacob. But yes.
But yes, it's Code Geass. But to take your mind off of that, like to be fair, in the original books of Tarzan, he's technically considered like at least nobility too, right?
Well,
Like
here's the thing. He becomes like king of the jungle, but
I mean, no, I mean like he originally was like Earl of Greystoke or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. Depending on like what you if you subscribe to the Disney one, no. If you subscribe, well, it's in,
since we talked about like the literary version of John Carter.
Yeah, the literary version. Yeah, Tarzan does come from a rich family. When he does return, he does have like there's something going on there. So he's like an earl or something. So yeah, he does come from royalty, or at least like a pedigree. He comes from a pedigree. He has a pedigree.
I mean, technically, they separated the character, took his title from the book and turned that into Clayton from the movie.
Yeah.
Or at least gave the name to Clayton.
True. Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, he says they always pronounce Code Geass wrong on Geekvolution because the host of that show didn't even know what Code Geass was.
Huh. All right,
were you on Geekvolution or was that something else?
No, I was on Geekvolution twice.
Oh, all right.
Well, I'm on there regularly. Not much these days because we have been rather busy. But ordinarily, again, I've been on the podcast like twice.
And you did some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I've done some behind the scenes stuff, and just in general, like I'm in the comments of the Geekvolution streams. But unfortunately, I've not been on the streams as much as I'd like to be.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, again, half the time it's like the news just isn't what it used to be. Geekvolution has kind of lost the step. I'm not gonna lie. I love those guys, and I love Captain Logan. I'll say as many nice things in the world about them. I mean, the man knows how to work an audience, but it's just still the fact that Superhero Rewind just is not what it once was, and that's always kind of like lowered things still a little bit in my eyes in terms of the approach. You know, it's not as polished as it once was.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, so
it's like, meanwhile, Perry is sent to figure out what Doofenshmirtz is up to, but Doofenshmirtz is still in the middle of his planning phase. And he actually brings Perry along on a shopping trip.
Yeah, this is great. I love this so much. He shows up early. He says, "You want to help me? Does it go faster?" And then we just have this money shoving image of like Doofenshmirtz and Perry in like the little kid like seat in the car. And
who do they run into? Who do they run into?
Major Monogram and Carl.
Carl's being pushed around in the cart.
You know, Jacob, times like this makes you wonder. I wonder how this scene would have gone if we substituted one of these characters. And Jacob, which character are we talking about?
Carl.
Yes, Carl. Okay, I know which Carl I'm picking here. What Carl are you picking?
I mean, okay, like Weezer.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. He's the only other one that would fit.
No. Carl the Minion.
Carl the Minion. Oh yeah, that he would work.
He would absolutely work. He would be my go-to. Yes, Carl the Minion.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah. Can I change my answer now?
Not too late, locked in. You just have Carl Weezer, but don't worry. It's hilarious though. Carl Weezer and then the card's still funny.
I mean, Carl Weezer's great though.
Yep.
Rob Paulson's favorite character.
Can we get some llama milk?
I like it when Code Geass says, like, I like whenever Major Monogram gets more screen time. He's one of the better side characters.
Fair point. Okay.
All right, I'll get rid of the Carl thing.
Yep.
To be fair, we could have also used that for the thumbnail without context.
I know. I was very tempted. I'm not gonna lie. I was tempted, but I want some with the Mars portal.
One of these days, we should just go for a. One of these days, you should really go for just a image that's completely out of context.
Well, if it's like undeniably like funny or just perfect, maybe.
I mean, I have like an idea for a future episode, which I think will probably be good, but we'll get to that episode actually soon.
So
the boys travel to Mars and follow Candace and follow.
Now the way they get to Mars, Jay, let's know how they get to Mars. They get into a laundry basket, and there's a series of balloons that take them there. No, I'm sorry. That's Brittle goes to Mars. I'm sorry. Yes, the boys walk to the portal and they're on Mars. What happens?
How they get to Candace is they rebuild the Mars rover into like a go-kart kind of thing.
Which is cool.
It is cool, yeah. A Mars go-kart.
And apparently Ferb speaks Martian.
Yep, which is apparently, while they have their own language, apparently it's just Ferb speaking backwards.
See, part of me would love this, like, imagine a version of this episode where the Martians all look like John Jones from Justice League.
You mean Martian Manhunter?
Exactly, they look like Martian Manhunter. Or better yet, when they all combine, they turn into Martian Manhunter for the ending.
Now that could be the gritty reboot.
There you go. Gritty reboot is like, I've lost everything. I'm not losing her. And they're chasing her. He won't let Candace go. It's going to be kind of like a sad Beauty and the Beast sort of thing.
Oh no.
Anyway.
So of course Candace wants some alone time from the Martians, and of course learns the lesson from her friends. The friends like, just because they don't have to hang out doesn't mean the friendship's not important. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, but she picks it up mid sentence. So I love that.
And she's like, it's like, yeah, I get it. That's a cool thing. That's one of the neat things about this show. It's like, it obviously has some morals, but it doesn't like hammer them over your head. Doesn't turn them into like the lesson of the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't like form the backbone, like a lot of other shows do. You know what I mean?
No, I absolutely know what you mean. Yeah.
And there's even like one future thing. It's like, I think we all learned a lesson here, but we all know what it is, so there's no need to repeat it. But so it's like, so obviously once they're trying to get away from the Martians, it's like the Martians don't take it very well. And so they combine into one giant super Martian. Not Martian Manhunter, but just a giant Martian nonetheless.
Yeah.
Can Martian Manhunter turn giant?
No.
Like,
I mean, he can turn a little big, but he can't turn like actually jelly. For example, he can turn like a big Martian creature, but he can't really turn into like
a giant version of himself.
No, it can't do that. That's like that weird Clayface territory, which always bothers me. I don't think Clayface should be able to turn into like a giant kaiju of sorts. It always feels like too easy.
But it made for a good boss fight in Arkham City, though.
I'm just saying, it's like, look at Spider-Man 3. One of the few things he did get right is like, he's on like a construction site, so he can absorb all that sand, so he would be able to be giant. That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I said, to be fair, the shape-shifting Clayface did make for a cool concept in Arkham City.
Well, yes, I'm saying Clayface can shapeshift, and he can be relatively giant in scale. I'm just saying, like, when he turns like that, just big is one thing, but when he's like literal size of a kaiju, like he does, like sometimes you have a gag of, or like in Harley Quinn the animated series, I haven't seen it, but there's a gag where they make him into a kaiju, where he can transform to a huge size. Like that's too much for me.
Wasn't that in the Valentine's Day special?
Well, he's done it twice. The Valentine's Day special, the second time. He's been a giant clay monster before, and then the Valentine's Day special, he was a giant clay monster who could then transform into somebody. So he was like a giant Brett Goldstein.
Ah, all right. Because obviously I haven't seen it yet, but I ran the podcast where you and Rohit talked about it.
Yeah, so he's done it twice, and every time we do that sort of thing, Clay, it feels like, where is he getting all that extra clay? I mean, come on.
It's like, I guess that would raise the question why he didn't do it before if he could do it then.
I know they call that out in the second season when he does that. It's like, you mean you could have done this the whole time?
Okay, so we're not the only one. Obviously, we didn't think of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like But Martian Manhunter can shapeshift, right? That's one.
Oh yeah, that's his whole shtick. Yeah, he shapeshifts. Yeah, I mean that's his biggest thing. He shapeshifts. He's basically Superman with 2 extra powers. He can shapeshift. He has telepathy. He can shapeshift, and beyond that, his weakness is fire instead of kryptonite. So the Martian Manhunter in his classic form. He was like a contender for Superman, only with a more universal weakness.
It's like, and Code Geass has something you'd like. I love how much Batman is being brought up in this stream. I'm glad I'm not the only one who makes references to Batman talking about unrelated shows.
Yeah, that's me to a T.
Yeah. He always tries to find some connective tissue to Batman.
Well, I mean, sometimes just it's there.
I mean, yeah, to be fair.
Okay.
Sometimes, to be fair, there are times when they straight up reference Batman.
True.
But like, as Candace went, like they never discovered music at their entire body or musical instruments. And of course, when they phoned Baljeet, like hell, Baljeet, I mean, they need to open a portal. Like, how is it we have bars here?
All right, so they get home. Candace, she. Oh yeah, I do have to call this out though. This is the one actual thing with the episode though. So Candace, after all that, she still tries to bust the boys because like her face has been carved into the surface of Mars, which is a reference to the smiley face on the planet.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't done by Dr. Manhattan this time.
Not this time, no. This time it was done by Inator.
So I can reference unrelated source material too.
Yeah.
So also a DC property.
That's true. So Candace, she her face is on Mars, and then we have like her showing her mom. This is where I call BS. There's no way. Like, it's broad daylight. Okay, there's no way that telescope's gonna see Mars in broad daylight.
I mean, have you seen how powerful some telescopes can be, Dragon?
No. It's not that, Jacob. It's daylight. Okay, the light's gonna obscure any vision there. It has to be night for a telescope to work.
Okay.
I'm not calling out the fact that we can see that far. That's fine. I'm calling out the fact that like we're doing it right now in daylight.
And telescopes work during the day. Telescope can be used during the day, but it will not be as effective as it is at night.
Wait, really? They work during? Well, okay. Well, in working during the day, do they work to see space? That's what I'm getting at. That's work. Period. I mean, work to see into the stars and everything. You need that to be night.
And Mars be seen during the day.
Wait, really?
I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh.
With a telescope. You don't need a Dutch kind of. Even under city of lights, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn can be easy to see with a telescope.
Well, that says like city lights. Lights being at night, though.
A caution. It says a caution if you ever. Okay, it's just talking about don't point your telescope at the sun.
Yeah.
Like I said, technically, I think it kind of did corroborate your point a little bit. It would make things more difficult to do it during the day. Right. But it's not ruling out the possibility of doing it.
I think you need like an actual industrial like a thing like the scientists to actually use to even have a chance at seeing it during the day. That's what it feels like to actually get what's happening with her right now. But
I mean, I know it, and again, artistic can be chalked up to artistic license.
And Code Geass, anime fan, points out, I love that they can breathe on Mars without space. It's like Superman 4 Quest for Peace logic. Absolutely, it is the whole. You've seen those clips from Quest for Peace, haven't you?
I mean, I've seen the superpower known as Dam Repair Vision.
Yeah, there's Dam Repair Vision.
Is that from 4 or 3?
No, it's 4. Dam Repair Vision's in 4.
Okay, so that's pretty much the only thing I remember from Quest for Peace was Dam Repair Vision.
Actually, I forget it was Dam Repair. I think it was just more like wall repair. It might have been the Great Wall of China. I'm not sure.
Well, either way, it's like wall repair vision or whatever.
Yeah, that thing.
Either way, it doesn't make sense.
He has a fight with Nuclear Man on the moon, and it's like. Then again, well, here's the thing. They have a fight on the moon, but also there's a moment where he's flying a lady through space. It's not that Superman can breathe in space, because that's you can always make the argument. Okay, well, Superman.
To be fair, in returns they did say he flew all the way to Krypton.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. So there's a whole like the Superman breathing in space things. Like it depends on who you ask, but regardless, the fact that he was saving like the lady who's kind of the romantic competition for Lois Lane, whose name escapes me though, and she was like the lady who's the daughter of the guy trying to buy the Daily Planet. Anyway,
You're about to say Bugle, weren't you?
no, I got it.
All right.
The Daily Planet. I just don't know what her name is. That's what. That's what. Anyway, point being, yeah. So she the fact he saved her and like she was floating and had the flyer through space and which like okay come on
Yeah,
no way around that.
I mean, to be fair, the first movie did involve him reversing time by reversing the Earth.
I forget if even she was like brought to the moon for him to save her, which is even worse.
I mean, like I said, I always like suspend my disbelief in a lot of cases when it comes to artistic license. Like, obviously, not all movies have to be scientifically accurate or historically accurate.
Yeah, and then we had like the ethical thing, like, hey, I need to blow off some steam. I'm gonna tell Lois Lane who I am, fly her around. I'm gonna kiss her so she forgets. Literally, what happens in 4? They say pull back the whole magic kiss thing is usually, man, Superman's a monster.
Okay, Kogias reveals this. Lacey Warfield is her name, played by Mariel Hemingway.
There you go. Thank you, Lacey.
Okay, apparently I just looked up it. Mercury, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune cannot be seen during the day too, but you'll need at least his telescope to spot them.
You know, did say what kind of telescope though?
I mean, like I said, Dragon, artistic license. I know where you're coming from. I'm just saying.
All right. Okay, anyway, okay. The point being, of course, you know, it's the actual. Now it's been blasted into like one of the ambiguous faces of Mars.
Yeah. The one that's not one of the ones that's not built by Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, not the good one.
No.
So we have this unknown. So then we have the Candace's friend group saying, "No, we were out of town. We couldn't hear. I texted you, Candace. You dummy. You couldn't tell it was like best friends forever and everything. Yeah, that's you know."
Yeah.
And then we have this unknown guy.
It's like I've been avoiding you this whole time. Do I know you? No. That's how good I am. It's like no, knives out. Peace.
I love unknown guys out. Peace.
It's like I mean. To be fair, he is good at it. He is good at avoiding her if they didn't even know.
now we got to look at if he's in the background of the episodes and we're just not paying attention to him. Imagine like here's a supplemental episode of Phineas and Ferb, like part of that series with short Phineas and Ferb interviews and everything for whatever that show is. You have like a segment in which you see unknown guy like around all these Candace scenes, almost like Brainy from Hey Arnold, only he's not like intentionally there. In this case, he's like out of breath, like, "Oh God, I don't want her to see me. Oh God!"
Instead of just like randomly popping up behind her, going,
just say, "Why is she everywhere I am all the time?" I'm at the slushy dog, the slushy burger. She's there. I'm at the roller ring. She's there.
Oh boy.
I'm on Mars. She's there.
It would have been kind of funny if he did go to Mars with her, and he wasn't even. It's like that's not something they slipped into the episode. It's not like one of those rewatch bonuses you get.
Yeah.
Kind of like speaking of Brainy, it kind of like blew my mind when I learned that he's actually voiced by the creator of the show.
Yeah.
Yep. I had no idea that he was doing that. I need to go back and rewatch Hey Arnold.
Yeah, Aquatad brings up take 2 with Phineas and Ferb. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that before. We don't need to really cover that. It's like celebrity interviews kind of thing.
Okay, so Kogias anime fan says maybe the real reason Jenny disappeared from the show is that she wanted to avoid Candace, like the unknown guy. Okay, here's some gossip for you. Jenny, an unknown guy, they're a little lovelorn. They got a little thing going on. They got a little, kind of like the Candace and Jeremy thing, only it's more requited than unrequited.
Okay.
Just throwing it out there. We don't know what they're doing, like while they're hiding.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see them. Like we do see Jenny again. She is brought up, but
yeah. But do we see her? She on her off time when we don't see her. Might be with unknown guy. We don't know.
Maybe. We definitely don't see unknown guy again, though.
There you go. See, unknown guy. He's that good, Jacob. He's that good.
Yeah, he is that good. Like, they never even know he's there.
You never
He's
know.
so good at avoiding them, he's never seen again.
So there gets like a Where's Waldo if we ever see unknown guy again.
Where's
There he is.
Or who's that guy that always pops up in the background of Freakazoid?
Oh, you mean Emmett?
Yeah,
Yeah, Emmett.
like Emmett Nervin, that's his name.
Yep, that's him.
Yeah, we can always like spot the unknown guy.
Yep. All right. So then we have a post-credit gag.
I figured you'd appreciate that reference.
I do. I really appreciate that reference. Yeah.
Yep, so we actually learned what happened when Doofenshmirtz is sucked into the portal to Mars.
Yep.
He gets sucked in. He's surrounded by the Martians, and they obviously get out a crown. They get out the crown, and it's like, oh, you're gonna make me your king. Well, get on with it. And then of course they put the what do they do, Dragon?
They put it on the baking soda volcano.
Oh, come on!
Mm.
I mean, you already have Olympus Mons. Is this really that impressive?
Yeah.
You know what Olympus Mons is, right, Dragon?
What is it?
Well, Olympus Mons is basically the tallest mountain in the solar system.
Oh.
Olympus Mons is a large shield volcano on Mars. It's about 2.5 times higher than Mount Everest. It is one of Mars' largest volcanoes. Apparently it's tied with another mountain as the tallest mountain currently discovered in the solar system. So it's like, you already have Olympus Mons. There's a baking soda volcano. Really, that's impressive. I used to study space when I was younger. I know quite a bit of trivia about space.
All right.
Doof is probably going to die because of a baking soda volcano. I mean, to be fair, later he does almost die later. He does come close to dying later on with the volcano filled with laundry detergent, but that's another story. So that closes the episode as Doofenshmirtz bemoans the fact that he even lost the title of King of Mars to a baking soda volcano. So, Dragon, any final thoughts?
Look, it was a solid week. It's just, again, it's kind of like a new way in which we're telling the stories to kind of get used to. I know it's not going to be like a regular thing like every week, but it's like, they're trying something new. I can respect that. Just, it's a little, it takes me getting used to. Yes,
I understand what you mean. Like, I guess despite what the earlier person said with the nested episodes, I think they actually got better at their later attempts to do so. But it was a nice one, but they had to start somewhere, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think that does it for this week. Thank you all for commenting. Thank you, Aquatad, Code Gias, of course, our usual regular with LEB. So thank you all for coming in. And as you probably noticed, we're doing today is not our usual day because we had a massive schedule shuffle. So we will not be doing another episode this week on Friday. But barring any unforeseen circumstances, we will. Dragon, is the Friday after this one clear for this?
I mean, I believe so, but again, folks, there's a chance we might have something else going on, or this might just be. It's going to be happening Friday. It's going to be moved to 11 o'clock on Friday, but again, I think we're aiming for Friday next week.
All right. Well, we'll obviously keep you posted. So be sure to tune in. Thank you, Code Gias, for that. Thanks for letting me gush about my favorite DreamWorks movie, but that's another story. Most likely El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Yep. Unfortunately, we have already talked about El Dorado, but that movie does need more recognition.
It does.
It's one of the more underrated films in DreamWorks' 2D library.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you all for tuning in to this week to this time. And so join us next week on the Recap-inator, where the boys go out to launch.
Mm.
Yep, it's another space-themed episode next week. But this time is to go find a star. Good night, everybody.